broskies, Abolish Farms here, and this is your build guide to the HLG 320 XL version 2 RSPEC from Horticultural Lighting Group. First up, you're going to want to grab these little pegs here and screw them into the proper spot on the outside, because you're going to need these as a stand when you're flipping them over. That way you don't mess up your quantum boards. Nextly, you're going to unwrap your quantum boards and you're going to line them up. You can see where the holes are already drilled on the heatsink. Just line it up with your hands first, and then pour out your little screws. I definitely recommend using the box that it came with. Just dump them out in there, that way you don't lose any of them, because it's very tiny screws. Just go through and hand tighten all of them, and then you can come back through with a screwdriver later and, you know, make sure it's tight like a toiga. Alright, now that we have all the quantum boards in place, they're fastened down, we have our little safety stands on the outside in the right spot, we're going to go ahead and put in our driver. I like to put it in the dead center at a little angle. I seen this positioning on one of the build guides on HLG's site, and I really liked it, so I went with it myself. But there's holes on each side of the board, and you have your screw and your nut. It comes with 2 screws and 2 nuts that are specifically for this. They stand out compared to everything else. Just fasten those in, super simple. Now it's time to wire this bad boy up. As you can see, I'm kind of lining up with my eyes and fingers and whatnot, trying to figure out the exact distances I need for the wires, because I don't want any wires like bunching up or sticking up. I want everything to look, you know, tight and clean. So as you can see here, just doing some simple measurements with my, you know, my eyesight. You know, you don't have to get all fancy with some rulers and shit, guys. As you can see, I'm splitting wires with, well, I'm cutting wires with a pair of scissors, and then I'm stripping them with a lighter. It all can be done fairly cheap. And MacGyvery, as Missy likes to say. As you can see here, I'm bringing in the connectors so I can actually start attaching this driver to the quantum board. First up, we are going to do the negative side. So we're going to go ahead and stick the negative wire on the driver in one side of the connector and connect the other wire that we just stripped and made to the other side. And then we're going to connect that to the negative side of the board, as you'll see here in a minute. Now, as you can see, I'm only hooking up one side of that left board right now. That's so we can have our positive and our negatives going through the whole thing, and then we're going to take two smaller wires and connect all three boards together. Once again, nothing too hard, just measuring it all out with my hands, my eyesight, to try and make it as tight as possible. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and repeat the same thing on the positive side. And as you can see, when we were placing the boards, you wanted to make sure you have your positives and your negatives lined up to where how you want to wire your board. Just do that before you screw everything down. Now that we have both side boards connected to the driver, it's time for us to connect them to the center board and complete the circuit. Now I'm going to flip it over, and just like before, just use my eyes and fingers to figure out the length that I need for the wires to connect the boards and complete the circuit. Alright, now that we have our board and everything all wired up, it's time to hook up our power. Key thing when you're using the waterproof protective coating thing that they include here, which you don't have to, you can use more of those connectors like we use for the board, but I like this. It's nice, thick, sturdy, makes your light look better too, I think. But they're pretty simple. When you open up the connector, you want to make sure you slide the bottom end first on before you start to connect the first piece. And then you'll see that there's 3 prongs inside, and one of them will be bronze tint. That's the one I use for the ground. And I put the ground in there, and then I put my positives and my negatives in there. And then I basically, of course, just did the same on the other side to make sure everybody was on the same pathway. We don't want anything blowing up. Alright, before we attach any of the hangers or anything, we need to test this out. Because why do any more steps if it's not going to fire up for us, right? So, drum roll please. And success. We have us a new light, boys and girls, to combo in our new, well, I'd say new build, but same old tent. We've had that one for a long time to combo with our cannons in there to complete our footprint that we needed. I'd like to shout out HLG for the awesome light, and I also like to shout out DGC, the Dude Gross crew, for the awesome discount code. Coupon code DUDE got me almost 50 bucks off this light, so shout out to the dude. And Scotty, man. Love you. Alright, now that we know it works, just go ahead and, if you want to use the ratchets and clips that came with it, just go ahead and attach those. The spots for them are pretty obvious on the outside. And then there's one more thing that you can do to kind of tidy up, is they give you one small zip tie with it. You can use that accordingly to tighten up your wires. But after that, you're rocking. I hope everybody enjoyed the guide and makes it a little easier on you when you go to build your own. And may the frugal force be with you.
Oh, I hate goodbyes.
Lloyd.
Just go.
Damn button. Push the goddamn button.
You heard what she said.